We've got everybody up front. We've got you in a frothing fury for the comedy stylings of your headliner. That's right, this is not a hilarious prank like the last time. I'm a YouTube sensation now. Your headlining comic tonight, this guy is awesome. He started this show and many other shows around town. He's a hilarious guy, an incredible friend, a wonderful comedian. Please welcome to the stage with a thunderous round of applause, Rob Crean!
So, as an aging hipster, I often find myself at parties with kids who are a lot younger than me, which is fine. I like the young kids, but sometimes I do think it can be kind of funny the things that these younger kids can be naive about, you know? Like, for instance, a lot of these young kids that I meet at these parties, they don't even realize that before 1985, we didn't have the right to party. But the Beastie Boys fought for that, so we did. I had an ex-girlfriend once tell me that I reminded her of a Beastie Boy. I thought that was strange. I said, I remind you of a Beastie Boy. Which Beastie Boy do I remind you of? And she said, I guess it's just that you're wearing a hoodie and you're old. I found out recently that a lot of my closest friends don't actually know how old I am. You know, I guess my age is a little bit ambiguous, you know, because I have like lots of white hair but no accomplishments. You know, I don't like gossip. But you know who does? It's really great to do a comedy show here at Great Scott, because Great Scott, if you guys don't know, is a legendary music venue, and I love music. You guys like music? Anyone like music? Yeah, about half. The rest of you guys just sociopaths, I guess. I like music. I find that sometimes when you know who wrote a song or you know who sang it, you can change your interpretations. You know, do you know the Michael Jackson song Billie Jean? That is a song about a guy who is claiming he is not the father of a child. A woman claims he is the father. And I feel like if anyone else sang that song, you'd be like, what, is she just making this up? But with Michael Jackson, I believe him. I don't think he is the father. Another song like that is the Stevie Wonder song, Isn't She Lovely? You know, because it sounds like a rhetorical question until you realize it's Stevie Wonder. He's just asking. Isn't she lovely? I'd imagine. She'd probably be lovely. But I need you as my friends to help. Let me know. I like music. I've been listening to this band, Thin Lizzy, for the last 8 years. They're a lot of fun. Do you guys know Thin Lizzy? Second most famous Irish rock band. I'll admit there is a pretty big drop-off from 1 to 2. Some people will argue that. They'll say, is Thin Lizzy really the second most famous Irish rock band? They'll say, what about the Cranberries? What about the Cranberries? To which I would say, number one, Cranberries are the laziest band in music. Just look at any of their album covers. It's just them sitting in dark rooms on couches. Like, seriously, Cranberries, it's a beautiful day. Get outside, enjoy your life. Also, I would ask you this. Do the Cranberries have a song in the trailer for Toy Story 2? No, they don't. You know who does? Thin Lizzy. Yeah. Boys are back in town. It's actually in the trailer to every sequel. It's a great song. They have another great song called Jailbreak, Really great song. The song Jailbreak by Thin Lizzy goes like this. Tonight there's going to be a jailbreak somewhere in this town. My guess, the jail. That's where it's going to go down. I told that joke to my friend Mary, and she said, well, actually, the town that I'm from in Connecticut had 2 jails, so it could be. I should say she doesn't actually talk or move like that. But yeah, she said she lived in a town in Connecticut with 2 jails. That sounds terrible. Living in Connecticut? I do love music, though. I used to play in a rock band here in Boston. I was playing a rock and roll band. We were called Aerosmith. It doesn't matter. Played in a band. One time I had a show with my old rock band, and we had to travel kind of a long way to get there, and I had to get out of work early, which I couldn't really afford, but I was determined to be there on time, and I had to meet the drummer, my friend Brad, and we were supposed to drive out to Western Mass to do the show. And I finally get to meet up with him, and he is not there. I've left work early. An hour and a half later, he finally shows up. I've been waiting for an hour and a half, and I am livid. I'm so angry. So we get in the car, we start driving west, and I'm driving his car because he's a terrible driver, so whenever anyone else is in his car, we're driving. He's a very aggravating guy, my friend Brad. The type of guy that just likes to argue anything. Like, he'll just be like, oh, I don't know, I think maybe the legal age of consent should be 14. I don't know. Like, you don't think that. No, I do. He's a contrarian. So we get in the car, and I'm so mad, I immediately just like turn on the radio really loud. NPR. It's really loud. This is a while ago. So at the time, do you guys know the movie Maria Full of Grace? That movie had just come out, and they were doing a story about it on the radio, and they announced the name of the movie, and Brad immediately just says, "Oh, they didn't say Maria Full of Grapes?" And I'm so angry that I just lose it. I just start yelling in his face while I'm driving. No, they didn't say Maria Full of Grapes, you fucking idiot! No, I didn't say Maria Full of Grapes! They said Maria Full of Grace! Maria Full of Grace! Maria Full of Grace is a fucking Catholic thing! You would know because you're a fucking Jew, you idiot! I'm so angry. I got anti-Semitic. It was weird. And so Brad looks at me and says, "Oh, I'm pretty sure they said Maria Full of Grapes." I'm just angry. I'm just steaming. So mad. And then they set up a scene that they're going to play from the movie. And the announcer says, in this next scene, lead actor Catalina Sandino Moreno, who plays Maria, is nervous about her first job working as a drug mule. And she asks someone else who's done it how you swallow the heroin pellets. Her friend goes to the refrigerator and takes out a bowl of chilled grapes and says, "Here, swallow these." And Brad says, "See, I told you, it's full of grapes, full of grapes." I was really angry. I went to this coffee shop near my house the other day, and they have a blackboard, and on the blackboard, it said book reading, and then it said a date and a time. And that was it. It's not enough. There needs to be more information. That would be like if you went by a movie theater and it just said a movie on the marquee, you know? That would be like if this was advertised as something on a stage, you know? It was more... Book reading is very vague. There's a lot of different kinds of book. It could be any... it could be like a really dry, economic text. It could be a children's book. It could be Mein Kampf, you know? It could be anything. You know what I bet it is? Dianetics. I think that's how they get you. They're like, hey, want to come to a book reading? Well, what book is it? I used to work at a record store, which was a lot of fun. And I worked at this record store in a very affluent suburb of Boston, right around the time that cell phones first came out. And it was, cell phones were still like a novelty, you know? And I was working there one day, and this kid comes in. He's probably 12 or 13 years old, just by himself, and he's just talking super loudly on a cell phone. Which, when cell phones first came out, everyone that had a cell phone talked super loudly on them. Partially because people didn't know how to use cell phones yet, and also partially because people just wanted other people to know that they had a cell phone. A really popular joke back then was, if you talked on a cell phone, was just go, no, it's like a phone, but with like no wires. It's like no. That joke was funny for like 4 years. But so I'm working at this record store. This kid comes in. This rich kid comes in with a cell phone, which was really, I didn't have a cell phone at that point, so I was already annoyed. And he's just talking really loudly, really obnoxiously as he's walking around the store. And we're all kind of just like commenting on him, this idiot. And so I go up to my boss, and I'm carrying this big stack of DVDs, and I say, hey, watch this. And so, carrying this big stack of DVDs, and I walk right by this kid, and right when I get just a couple feet from him, I just go, whoa! And I drop all the DVDs. No response from this kid. So I pick up all the DVDs, I go back over to my boss. What do you think? My boss says, it was a good start. I mean, you're definitely gonna have to do it again, though. I was like, really? He's like, yeah, of course. I was like, oh, all right. So I take the stack up again. I walk up. I come around the other way this time. So now he's like facing me. And right as I get right almost to him, I just go, drop all the DVDs on him. Right by him again. And again, no response from this kid. And I go back to my boss, and at this point, other people who are shopping in the store are coming up to us being like, this is really good. People are coming up being like, so they're saying, hey, are you going to do it again? And I say, I don't know. And my boss says, oh yeah, he's going to do it again. And so this time, I stack the DVDs up even higher. I have a huge stack of DVDs. And make my way over to the kid, and this time I get real close to him. I get real close, and I am really just laying it. And I drop them just right on top of him. DVDs are just bouncing off of this kid who is talking on his cell phone. And finally, he reacts. I hear him say into the phone, what? Oh, no, this guy just keeps dropping DVDs. Mr. Crean was my father. You guys can call me the Creanster. I became a nephew this past year. I didn't become a nephew. Oh my God. I didn't expect this beer to take effect so quickly. I have a nephew. I got a nephew. I mean, I didn't do a lot of the getting, I guess. He just sort of showed up. Oh, boy. Well, I guess I've ruined it. The recording's over. Bye. So I recently became an uncle for the first time. I never use a set list, and I'm like, I have a set list here. And I realize now I just can't read. So yeah, I became an uncle this last year. It was pretty exciting. I've never been an uncle before, and now I am, which is fun. I will say, my sister, whose son it is, she gave him I think kind of a weird name. Do you know how, like, parents give their kids weird names now? I feel like I don't know, man, my sister, she gave her, I think she gave her son a weird name. She named him Jared from Subway. It's a weird name, I think. It's a family name on the father's side, I guess. I like kids, though. I get to hang out with kids sometimes. Sometimes I babysit for my cousin's kids. One time I was babysitting for one of my cousin's son. He's probably about 4 years old at this time. And we went to a supermarket, walking around, picking up some snacks. And we were in the produce section, and I say, so what do you want? Do you want one of these bananglers? He's a very serious kid, so he immediately just says, it's pronounced banana. And I said, I'm pretty sure it's banangler. And he said, no, it's not banangler, it's definitely banana. And I said, there's a sign right there. I can read. You can't read. It says banangler. And he said, I'm afraid not. It's banana. So I said, all right, fine. So then we get up to the register. I'm taking the stuff, the snacks we're getting, putting them down on the counter, and I say, all right, and here's the apple, and here's the banana, or as you call it, a banangler. He just lost his mind. He was so angry. So that's a fun joke you can play on kids if you want to play mean jokes on kids, which I suggest. I get to do sometimes in my day job. I have kind of a weird day job. I'm a tour guide on the Freedom Trail, downtown Boston. I dress like a colonial person, which is a lot of fun. But being in downtown Boston dressed up as a colonial person, you do get a lot of people heckling you, shouting stuff at you, and I don't care for it. Usually it's just the names of historic figures. People will shout out stuff like hey, Sam Adams, or Ben Franklin, or Paul Revere, stuff like that, and I don't care for it. I mean, seriously, come on, Samuel Adams, that is a guy who is too ugly to be on his own bottle of beer. I don't think I look like Samuel Adams, Ben Franklin was bald with scraggly hair and glasses. I don't think I look like Benjamin Franklin. Paul Revere was a short, stocky man, and that one is rude, is why I don't like that one. It is the one I certainly get the most. The other day, a cop called me Paul Revere. A cop, which I found outrageous, because he was also wearing a costume. I don't think it's fair for him to call me the name of someone that just dressed like me. How would he like it if I called him Carl Winslow? Carl Winslow, if you guys don't know, was the dad on Family Matters. Also the cop in the first two Die Hard movies. I don't know if it's the same character, the same actor. I like to think it's the same character that I know, because I think it gives every conversation between Carl and Urkel an extra level of gravity, Somewhere in the back of his mind he's thinking, yeah, I shot a kid. Urkel's like, did I do that? And Carl's like, did I do that? People yell at stuff like that a lot. A lot of times people will shout out, like they just see us and they want to yell something because we're in a costume, and they don't have time to think of something to yell, so they'll just yell whatever. Like one thing that people like to yell a lot is they like to yell, hey, the British are coming! British are coming! Like, it's tough because I just don't know how to react. Like, am I supposed to be like, oh? I don't know. But sometimes people want to shout that, but they can't think of it. So they'll shout out like, hey, they're coming! Like, they know there was a war, but they can't remember against who, One time a guy just shouted, they're here! Which is the tagline for the movie Poltergeist. So relating. Work on Boston Common, which is a crazy place to work. A lot of crazy people on Boston Common. There's a lot of panhandlers. I don't mind most of the panhandlers. I don't mind the homeless people or the mentally ill people. The only panhandlers that kind of bother me are the like hippies that are just like like traveling kids. People that are just like yeah man, I'm just gonna fucking travel. I'm just gonna take Jack Kerouac. Like those assholes. I don't like them. One day I was walking down I was walking through the Common and I saw this hippie panhandling, and I figured when I got to him he was probably gonna say something like, "Hey man, spare change?" But he didn't. When I got to him, he looked me right in the eyes, and he said, "Spange." He was too lazy to say spare change. It's lazy. My favorite panhandler that I see on Boston Common is this guy John, who is great. First of all, he looks great. He's got a big scraggly beard, big glasses, but also he sounds great. He's got this great voice. And up until recently, I'd only ever heard him say variations on these two themes. First themes, he'd say stuff like, "Do you have any spare change? Does anyone have any spare change? Do you guys have any spare change?" The other thing they would say is they'd say variations on this theme, stuff like, "Do you have a cigarette for me? Does anyone have a cigarette? Do you guys have a cigarette?" Which I think would be the best anti-smoking campaign. It's just that voice asking for a cigarette. But recently he started doing something else. He started saying stuff like, every time people would walk by, he'd say, "Is anyone here from Watertown? Are you guys from Watertown? Who's from Watertown?" And he's been doing it for a while now, and here's the frustrating thing, is I have never heard anyone say yes. It's so frustrating, because I really want to know how the rest of that conversation would go. I like to think, if someone said yes, he would probably say something like, "Isn't Deluxe Town Diner great?" Because that's a great diner. It's a really good diner. I love Deluxe Town Diner. I don't know if you guys have been there. It's great. I did, however, read a negative review of Deluxe Town Diner on Yelp. Yeah. This person complained that the kitchen was a little bit loud, counters were kind of sticky, and the waitress was a little bit rude. I figured out the problem. This guy doesn't like diners. He's just in the wrong kind of restaurant. It's like going to an Indian restaurant and complaining that it's too spicy, or going to McDonald's and complaining that it's terrible. You made a bad choice. Shouldn't have gone to that kind of restaurant. Do a lot of these tours. Sometimes the tours are very big. We have to talk really loud, and it puts a wear on our voices. And so the other day I was on my way to do one of these tours, and I went to a coffee shop to get some tea for my voice. I got a large tea. It was $1.90, which meant with tax it came to $2.03, which I found so frustrating, because now I have to carry around 97 cents of change in my colonial costume. I mean, why couldn't they just make the tea $1.87? Now with tax it would be exactly $2. Or plus, my entire life here in the state of Massachusetts, the state sales tax, my entire life here in the state of Massachusetts, the state sales tax had been 5%, but it was recently increased from 5 to 6.25. If we're still at 5% at $1.90, that would come up to exactly $2. Then I realized that I was a guy in a colonial costume complaining about the tax on tea. So I figured I should stop, because we dealt with that already. I have a roommate who is a couple things about my roommate. He is very devious, and he's very cheap. Important things about him. So recently he went on a trip to LA, and he's been doing this thing where every time he flies anywhere, he buys a ticket to someplace else that has a layover where he wants to go at a cheaper price. It's a thing you can do. You just buy a ticket to wherever you want to go, and you get off the plane. But there's a couple tricks about it. Number one is you can't check any luggage. You have to only bring carry-ons. And number two, the airlines know about this, and they don't like it. So if they catch you, they'll just kick you off the plane. So he gets to Logan Airport here in Boston with the 2 largest carry-on bags you've ever seen in your life. And the people at the counter at Logan say, you can't bring both of these on, you have to check one of them. And he is arguing with them, and they're like, it has to fit in this box, and he tries to cram it in the box, and he's like, it fits! And they say, it can't be sticking out of the top like that. And he says, I can push it down, and they say, no. They say, look, you can get on this plane, you cannot get on this plane, but you can't bring both of these bags with you. And so he just checks one of the bags. So now he's flying to LA, and the whole way he is so stressed out because he may get to LA, get off the plane, and have all this luggage fly to Oregon or whatever. And he's just so stressed out about it. Finally, he gets off, goes up to the desk in LA, and he says, look, I had to check my bag, but I need to get my bag because I have medication there. If I don't get it, I'm going to have a panic attack. And the people at the desk at LAX look it up, and they say, there's a note from Logan that says that we shouldn't let you get your bag. And he says, I was just stressing out, but I'm going to have a panic attack if I don't get my bag. And so finally, they get him his bag. He leaves. It worked out. So he's telling me this whole story. And I say, geez, that sounds so stressful. And he says, yeah, I probably just should have paid the extra $16 for a direct flight. So when I was a young man, I went to a music festival called the Ennet Festival. I feel like it's real unlikely anyone remembers that festival. But it was a festival. Do you guys remember Lollapalooza? So that's more famous. Lollapalooza was made by this guy, Perry Farrell, who at the time was the singer for Jane's Addiction. And then he sold that, and then he started this other festival when he was in his next band, Porno for Pyros. And this band, the Ennet Festival, was supposed to be like kind of a more crazy festival. And at the time, this guy, Perry Farrell, the singer for Jane's Addiction and Porno for Pyros, was being very vocal about how he was very for experimentation with all drugs. Just, not just pot and acid, but like hard drugs, cocaine, even heroin. It was all cool. And he's giving these interviews like, the Ennet Festival is supposed to be an event of creativity with no limitations. And I was a young man. Was I gonna not go? Of course I went. So I go, and Porno for Pyros, his band they're headlining, and they take the stage. And when they get on stage, they have 2 topless women on stilts blowing fire. Get it? Porno for Pyros. And so the show, they start playing. They play like maybe 2 songs. And then one of the women blowing fires catches on fire. Of course she catches on fire. And she catches on fire, and she starts to try and like put out. She has like a bottle with flammable liquid. Catches on fire. She tries to like put it out, and immediately 2 stagehands just run up and just knock her over. And she lands on top of then Porno for Pyros bass player Mike Watt. And so he stops playing immediately. And pretty quickly, the drummer and guitar player for Porno for Pyros also stop playing. And about a chorus and a verse later, Perry Farrell stops singing. And notices what's going on. And when he notices, he just kind of turns around like this. And he walks off stage. The whole band leaves, and then we are just there for a while, a whole audience of people waiting to see what's going to happen. It's very awkward. Eventually, Perry Farrell comes back out. He walks up to the front of the stage and he says, "Well, the good news is, she's okay." "Well, first of all, let me tell you a little bit about her. Her name is Pandora. She has a son. I don't know. The important thing is, did you notice, as soon as she fell, we all ran over to help her." They then played one final song to close out the show. It was an acoustic song from their second album, God's Good Urge. And the song went like this. Kimberly Allston. Kimberly Allston. Kimberly Allston. Kimberly Allston. That's how they ended their show. And that's how I'm going to end the show. Thanks a lot, guys. I'm Rob Crean. Back to John Paul Rivera.
Rob Crean, everybody! We want to thank you for coming out to the Gas. We do this every Friday night at approximately 7:30 p.m. One more big round of applause for the big man himself, Rob Crean, everybody! All right. Right, Crean, stir, 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 stir. Crean, stir, Crean, stir, Crean, stir, Crean, stir. Oh yeah, come on. Oh, you got it? This could be a porno for Pyro's moment right now. Kimberly. Oh, sorry. Oh, look at we got a cake here. All right, everybody, if you will join me on 3. 1, 2, 3. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. It's not his birthday. His birthday was on Tuesday. Happy birthday, dear Ron. Creanster. Happy birthday to you. Yeah.
Have you ever been at a party where some dickhead tries to do the other verses? And you're like, "How old are you?" The worst song. It's a terrible song. Oh, yeah. Well,
Wish for death.
Ted Pettigill, everyone.
Yeah! Good night, students. We appreciate your presence in our city on a hill. Good night, students. Please don't tell your parents what I've done or what I'm doing. Appreciate Stick around for the pill, Boston's #1 girl on stilts on fire night.